Robert's Rebellion, the spark that shattered a realm. In a land where swords sing louder than songs, where a single choice can topple empires, and where whispers of prophecy haunt the dreams of kings, the seven kingdoms of Westeros stood on the precipice of chaos, 17 years before the War of the Five Kings in the year 281 after Aegon's conquest. A storm gathered over a realm ruled by fire and blood. House Targaryen, whose dragons once blackened the skies, sat uneasily on the Iron Throne, their legacy fraying under a king whose mind burned with madness. This was the world of Robert's Rebellion. Not a mere war for power, but a saga of human hearts torn between love, honor, and fate. What drove a prince to forsake his crown for a northern maiden? Why did a knight break his sacred oath to save a city? And how did an ancient prophecy reshape the destiny of a realm? Join us as we unravel the threads of passion, duty, and prophecy that wove the tapestry of Robert's Rebellion, a tale that burned one dynasty to ashes and birthed another in fire and blood. Westeros, in 281 AC, was a land of splendor and strife, a mosaic of rival houses bound by fragile loyalties. The Iron Throne forged by Aegon. The Conqueror's dragonfire stood as a symbol of unity, yet cracks riddled its foundation. King Aerys VI. Targaryen, once a charismatic prince, had descended into paranoia. His court, a labyrinth of fear and betrayal. His reign, begun with promise in 262 AC, had soured, as envy, loss, and captivity twisted his mind. The Red Keep, perched above King's Landing, was no longer a beacon of power, but a cage for a king who saw enemies in every shadow. Aerys's descent began with subtle signs. His envy of his hand. Tywin Lannister, whose competence outshone the crown, festered into resentment. His obsession with Tywin's wife Joanna culminated in a crude jest at her wedding, a slight Tywin never forgot. The loss of multiple children to stillbirths and miscarriages. Only Rhaegar Viserys and later Daenerys survived, gnawed at Aerys's sanity, each death a blow to his legacy. The defiance of Duskendale in 277 AC, where he was held captive by Lord Denys Darklyn, shattered him. Rescued by Sir Barristan Selmy Aerys, emerged with tangled hair, claw-like nails, and a mania for fire-burning dissenters in wildfire to sate his paranoia. Beyond the Red Keep, the great houses maneuvered for advantage. In the North House, Stark ruled from Winterfell, their honor as unyielding as the ice that cloaked their lands. Lord Rickard Stark, a visionary, sought southern alliances, betrothing his daughter Lyanna to Robert Baratheon and fostering his son Eddard with Jon Arryn. His ambition was to weave the North into the realm's fabric, countering Targaryen dominance. The Stormlands under House Baratheon pulsed with the energy of Robert, a young lord whose warhammer and charisma made him a force of nature. His betrothal to Lyanna was a political coup, binding two ancient houses. In the West House, Lannister, led by the cunning Tywin, hoarded gold and grudges. Tywin's tenure as Hand had enriched the realm, but Aerys's slights, refusing Cersei for Rhaegar naming Jaime to the Kingsguard, eroded his loyalty. Dorne's House Martell, bound to the crown by Princess Elia's marriage to Rhaegar, balanced loyalty with caution, their fiery spirit tempered by distance. The Vale ruled by the wise. Jon Arryn held steady, his mentorship of Ned and Robert a quiet strength. The Riverlands under House Tully sought power through marriage, Hoster Tully eyeing alliances for his daughters Catelyn and Lysa. The Reaches, Tyrell's lords of Highgarden, and the Iron Islands Greyjoys watched from the sidelines, their roles minor, but poised to shift with the winds of war. This was a Westeros ripe for upheaval, where alliances were as brittle as autumn leaves. The Targaryen dynasty, once invincible, was a shadow of its former glory. Dragons were gone, replaced by a king whose fire burned within, consuming reason and restraint. The small folk whispered of Aerys's pyromancers, crafting wildfire in dark guilds, while lords plotted in shadowed halls. The stage was set for a rebellion that would redefine the Seven Kingdoms, and the spark would come from an unlikely source, a tournament meant to celebrate unity, but destined to ignite division. To grasp the magnitude of Robert's rebellion, we must paint the world that birthed it, a tapestry woven from 3 centuries of Targaryen rule. Aegon the Wise and his sisters Rhaenys and Visenya conquered Westeros with their dragons, Balerion, Meraxes and Vhagar forging the Iron Throne from the swords of their foes. Their Valyrian blood, marked by silver hair and violet eyes, set them apart, their power rooted in fire and sorcery. For generations they ruled through strength and fear, their dragons a living testament to their dominance. Kings like Jaehaerys, I the Conciliator, brought peace, while others like Maegor the Cruel sowed terror. By 129 AC, the last dragon perished, a sickly creature, no larger than a dog, leaving the Targaryens vulnerable. The dynasty endured its mystique intact, but cracks appeared. The Dance of the Dragons, a civil war from 129 to 131 AC, pitted Targaryen against Targaryen, weakening their grip. Aegon V, known as Egg, sought to reform the realm in the 250s, but his obsession with reviving dragons led to the tragedy of Summerhall in 259 AC. A ritual of fire and sorcery meant to hatch dragon eggs unleashed a blaze that killed Aegon, his heir Duncan, and many kin. Amidst the ashes, Rhaegar Targaryen was born, his mother, Rhaella's tears mingling with the smoke, a child marked by prophecy. Aerys II's ascension in 262 AC promised renewal. At 18, he was charismatic, his violet eyes bright with ambition. Naming Tywin Lannister as Hand, he vowed to surpass his ancestors, dreaming of grand projects, a marble city, a second wall. Tywin's efficiency made the realm prosper, quelling rebellions like the Rain Tarbeck revolt and filling the crown's coffers. Yet Aerys's flaws simmered. His envy of Tywin's success, his inappropriate fixation on Joanna Lannister, and the loss of his children. Only Rhaegar survived. Infancy eroded his stability. The defiance of Duskendale was the catalyst. Held captive for months, Aerys endured humiliation. His rescue by Barristan Selmy, a hollow victory. He emerged a shell, his laughter manic, his obsession with fire a mirror of his fractured mind. By 281 AC, the Red Keep was a prison of fear. Aerys, now the Mad King, surrounded himself with sycophants and pyromancers. Their wildfire, a dark echo of lost dragons. Varys, the master of whisperers, wove intrigues, his whispers fueling Aerys's paranoia. The King's Guard, once paragons of chivalry, stood as silent witnesses. Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning, Sir Barristan Selmy the Bold, Sir Gerald Hightower, the White Bull. Rhaegar, the Crown Prince, was the realm's hope, a scholar warrior whose grace contrasted with his father's chaos. Yet Rhaegar's dreams of prophecy of a prince born to save the world would prove as perilous as Aerys's flames. The great houses, meanwhile, played a delicate game. Rickard Stark's southern ambitions, betrothing Lyanna to Robert, fostering Ned with Jon Arryn, aimed to counter Targaryen dominance. Tywin Lannister, humiliated by Aerys's slights, plotted from Casterly Rock, his loyalty fraying Jon Arryn, a father figure to Ned, and Robert held the Vale's loyalty, his wisdom a bulwark against chaos. Hoster Tully sought alliances through his daughters, Catelyn, betrothed to Brandon Stark, Lysa, a prize for a future match. The Martells, bound by Elia's marriage, remained loyal but wary. The Tyrells and Greyjoys bided their time, their roles in the coming storm yet to unfold. This was a realm of beauty and danger where chivalry masked ambition and loyalty veiled betrayal. The Seven Kingdoms stood as a tapestry of rivalries ready to unravel at the slightest pull. That pull would come at Harrenhal, where a tournament would set the realm ablaze. In the spring of 281 AC, the ancient fortress of Harrenhal, its blackened towers looming over the God's Eye, became the stage for a tournament unlike any in living memory, hosted by Lord Walter. The event drew every major house, their banners a riot of colour against the castle's grim stones. Stark direwolves, Baratheon stags, Lannister lions, Martell sons, Arryn falcons, Tully trout. Knights from across Westeros converged to joust, feast, and vie for glory, while lords and ladies whispered of politics and power. The prizes, triple those of past tournaments, hinted at a deeper purpose. Some whispered that Rhaegar Targaryen had funded the event, seeking to gather the realm's lords for a secret council. perhaps to depose his father, whose madness threatened the crown. Harrenhal buzzed with life. The jousting lists rang with the clash of lances, splintering wood and cheering crowds. The great hall echoed with music as minstrels sang of ancient heroes and wine flowed like rivers. The air shimmered with anticipation, a fleeting moment of unity in a fractured realm. Rhaegar, the crown prince, was the tournament's star, his black armor adorned with rubies that gleamed like blood. At 22, he was a vision, silver hair, streaming violet eyes, piercing his lance, steady as he unhorsed night after night. His presence was a balm to a realm weary of Aerys's tyranny, a promise of a brighter future. Among the spectators was Lyanna Stark, the 16-year-old daughter of Winterfell, her grey eyes sharp with defiance. Betrothed to Robert Baratheon, she watched with a warrior's keenness, her spirit unbowed by southern courtesies. Lyanna was no delicate maiden. She rode horses with the skill of a knight, wielded a tourney sword with precision, and laughed at courtly flattery. Her beauty with dark hair and a wild grace drew eyes, but her courage set her apart. When squires from houses Frey and Blount mocked Howland Reed, a young Crannogman from the Neck, Lyanna intervened. Wielding a tourney sword, she drove them off her fury, a mirror of the North's wild heart. The Starks took Howland under their wing, a bond that would prove fateful. The tournament was not without shadows. A mysterious figure, the Knight of the Laughing Tree, appeared in the lists, defeating the squires' knights and demanding they chastise their charges. The knight's shield, painted with a weirwood and a laughing face, hinted at northern ties. Some believe Lyanna was the knight, her armor concealing her identity, a secret Rhaegar may have uncovered when sent by Aerys to find the knight. Aerys, paranoid, saw the knight as a threat, his restless eyes scanning the crowds. His presence at Harrenhal, a rare venture from the Red Keep, cast a pall, his dishevelled appearance a stark contrast to Rhaegar's grace. The tournament's climax came in the final joust where Rhaegar faced Sir Barristan Selmy, a Kingsguard legend. Their lances shattered, horses reared, and Rhaegar emerged victorious, his triumph echoing through Harrenhal's towers. As champion, he was to crown the Queen of Love and Beauty, a ceremonial act of chivalry. The crowd expected him to honour his wife, Princess Elia Martell, seated in the stands, her smile serene. Instead, Rhaegar rode to Lyanna Stark, placing a crown of winter roses, blue as a northern sky, in her lap, the Queen of Love and Beauty. He proclaimed, his voice soft but resolute. Silence fell like a blade. Robert's laughter died. Elia's face stiffened, and Ned Stark's heart sank. In that moment, love defied duty, honour clashed with passion, and fate stirred, setting the Seven Kingdoms on a path to war. The winter roses were more than a gesture. They were a declaration, a spark that ignited a rebellion. Rhaegar's act alienated the Starks, enraged Robert, and humiliated Elia, fracturing the fragile alliances holding Westeros together. Aerys's paranoia deepened his suspicions of Rhaegar's motives growing. The tournament, meant to unite the realm, became a crucible of division, its echoes resounding through the years of fire and blood to come. Harrenhal was the beginning, the moment when love, honour and fate collided, and the Seven Kingdoms would never be the same. The tournament at Harrenhal lit a spark that set Westeros ablaze, its winter roses a symbol of love's power and peril. Robert's rebellion. A war that toppled a dynasty was not fought for gold or glory alone, but for the passions that burned in the hearts of its players. A prince's devotion to a northern maiden, a lord's unrequited love, and a princess's silent sacrifice wove a tapestry of tragedy that reshaped the Seven Kingdoms. In this chapter of our saga, we explore the flames of love that fueled the rebellion, Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark's forbidden bond, Robert Baratheon's possessive fervour, and Elia Martell's quiet endurance. These are the stories that turned chivalry into chaos, proving that in Westeros, love is a fire that can warm a heart or burn a realm to ashes. At the heart of Robert's rebellion lies a love story as radiant and tragic as the stars above Westeros. Prince Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, bound by passion and prophecy, defied a realm to chase a dream, their union sparking a war that ended a dynasty. To understand their bond, we must journey to their beginnings, to the moments that forged two souls destined to reshape history. Rhaegar was born in 259 AC amidst the tragedy of Summerhall, a Targaryen palace reduced to ash in a catastrophic fire. King Aegon V, Rhaegar's great-grandfather, sought to hatch dragon eggs through a ritual of fire and sorcery, hoping to restore the Targaryens' lost power. The blaze claimed Aegon, his heir Duncan, and many kin, leaving Rhaella, Rhaegar's mother, weeping amidst the smoke. Rhaegar entered the world as a child marked by destiny, born amidst salt and smoke, a sign of the prince that was promised a saviour foretold, to wield a flaming sword against darkness. The prophecy clung to him like a shadow, shaping his every step. Raised in the Red Keep, Rhaegar was unlike his forebears, where Aegon the Conqueror wielded fire. Rhaegar wielded words. He mastered Valyrian lore, Westerosi history and music, his silver harp weaving melodies that silenced courts. At 10, he played for Queen Rhaella, his notes easing her grief. At 12, after reading a cryptic scroll in the Red Keep's library, he declared he must become a warrior, believing he was the promised prince. Training under Ser Willem Darry, he honed his skill with sword and lance, his movements graceful yet lethal. By 20, Rhaegar was a paradox, a scholar who fought a poet who led a prince who dreamed of salvation. His violet eyes held a melancholy, as if he saw the doom awaiting his house. In 279 AC, Aerys sent his cousin Steffon Baratheon to Essos to find a Valyrian-blooded bride for Rhaegar, preserving Targaryen tradition. Steffon's failure led to a political match in 280 AC, with Princess Elia Martell of Dorne cementing ties with Sunspear. Elia, gentle and frail, bore Rhaegar 2 children, Rhaenys in 280 and Aegon in 281, named after Aegon the Conqueror and his sister. But Elia's second birth nearly killed her, and Maesters warned she could bear no more. Rhaegar obsessed with a prophecy of a dragon with 3 heads echoing. Aegon and his sisters began to believe his destiny lay elsewhere. His marriage, though dutiful, lacked the fire he sought, a fire he found in Lyanna Stark. Lyanna, born in 265 AC, was the only daughter of Lord Rickard Stark, raised in Winterfell's icy embrace. Unlike her brothers, Brandon bold and brash, Eddard quiet and dutiful, Benjen young and curious, Lyanna was a storm of spirit. She rode horses with the skill of a Dothraki, her mare outpacing Brandon's steed in Winterfell's fields. She wielded a tourney sword with precision, sparring with Benjen in the Godswood, her blade flashing like a direwolf's fangs. Old Nan's tales of Bran the Builder and the Long Night fueled her imagination, her grey eyes alight with wonder. Her beauty was undeniable. Dark hair, a wild grace, but her courage set her apart. Betrothed to Robert Baratheon in 279 AC. Lyanna was wary. Robert's charm was infectious, but his dalliance with a Vale girl producing Maya Stone reached her ears. "He will never keep to one bed," she told Ned, her voice heavy with doubt. Their paths converged at Harrenhal in 281 AC during a tournament that shook the realm. Rhaegar, competing as the crown prince, was a vision, silver hair streaming, black armor gleaming with rubies. He unhorsed knight after knight, his lance steady as his gaze. Lyanna, attending with her family, was no mere spectator. When squires from houses Freyhay and Blount mocked Howland Reed, a Cranagman from the neck, Lyanna intervened. Wielding a tourney sword, she drove them off her fury, a mirror of the North's wild heart. The Starks took Howland under their wing, Ned offering him a seat at their table. Lyanna's courage caught Rhaegar's eye, a spark of defiance that mirrored his own. That night in Harrenhal's great hall, Rhaegar played his harp, his melody, a haunting lament that stilled the crowd. Lyanna, seated with her brothers, listened, her eyes glistening with tears. Brandon teased her only to receive a goblet of wine to the face. But the moment marked a connection, some whisper. Lyanna later donned armor as the Knight of the Laughing Tree, defeating the squire's knights in the lists, her shield painted with a weirwood and a laughing face. Aerys, paranoid, sent Rhaegar to find the knight, fearing a plot. Whether Rhaegar discovered Lyanna's secret or simply saw her spirit, their bond deepened, a flame kindled in the tournament's shadow. The tournament's climax came when Rhaegar faced Sir Barristan Selmy, a Kingsguard legend. Their lances, splintered horses reared, and Rhaegar emerged victorious, his triumph echoing through Harrenhal's towers. As champion, he was to crown the Queen of Love and Beauty. The crowd expected him to honor Elia seated in the stands, her smile serene. Instead, Rhaegar rode to Lyanna, placing a crown of winter roses, blue as a northern sky, in her lap. The Queen of Love and Beauty. He proclaimed, his voice soft but resolute. Silence fell. Robert's laughter died. Elia's face stiffened and Ned's heart sank. In that moment, love defied duty and the realm trembled. Months later, in 282, AC Rhaegar and Lyanna vanished, fleeing to the Tower of Joy in Dawn's Red Mountains, accompanied by Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning, and Sir Oswell. Went they hid from the world, their love a secret guarded by steel. Was it abduction, as the Starks and Baratheons claimed, or a mutual escape? Evidence suggests Lyanna went willingly. Her doubts about Robert, her fierce spirit and Rhaegar's charisma, a poet's soul in a warrior's frame, may have drawn her. In the tower they spoke of prophecy of a child who would unite ice and fire. Rhaegar, believing the Song of Ice and Fire required a Stark and Targaryen union, saw Lyanna as his destiny. She, perhaps weary of a life scripted by others, found purpose in his vision. Their time was brief, but profound. Amidst Dawn's wildflowers they wove a dream, a son named Aegon, born in 283 AC as war raged. The tower, a remote outpost beneath the Red Mountains, was their sanctuary, its stone walls shielding them from the world's wrath. Rhaegar sang to Lyanna, his harp echoing through the desert night, while she told tales of the north of direwolves and winter's bite. Their love was a fusion of passion and purpose, a belief that their child would save the world from darkness, yet the world would not wait. Lyanna's disappearance sparked outrage, leading to the deaths of her father and brother. Rhaegar called to war, rode to the Trident, leaving Lyanna in the care of Dane and Went. At the Trident, Rhaegar faced Robert Baratheon, his rubies gleaming in the sun. Their clash was a symphony of steel, Rhaegar's sword dancing against Robert's warhammer. With a single blow, Robert shattered Rhaegar's breastplate, scattering rubies like blood, ending the prince's life. In the Tower of Joy, Lyanna, weakened by childbirth, lay in a bed of blood, her son in her arms. Ned found her as she died. Her final words, "Promise me, Ned," entrusting Jon Snow to his care. Their love, a flame of passion and prophecy, burned too brightly, consuming them and the Targaryen dynasty, yet their legacy endured. Jon Snow, raised as Ned's bastard, carried the blood of ice and fire, his life a testament to their dream. His battles against the White Walkers, his claim to the Iron Throne, and his exile in Game of Thrones suggest he may be the prince that was promised. Was their love a reckless folly, sparking a war that killed thousands? Or was it a necessary sacrifice birthing a savior? The Tower of Joy, a place of joy and sorrow, holds no answers, only echoes of a love that changed Westeros forever. Across the continent, Robert Baratheon's love for Lyanna Stark burned with a different intensity, a fire of possession and rage that fueled a rebellion. Born in 262 AC at Storm's End, Robert was a storm made flesh, tall, broad-shouldered, with a laugh that could shake castle walls. His childhood was marked by tragedy. At 12, he stood on Storm's End's towers, watching his parents' ship carrying Steffon and Cassana Baratheon shatter against the rocks of Shipbreaker Bay. The loss hardened his heart, but not his spirit. Sent to the Vale to foster under Jon, Arryn Robert met Eddard Stark, forging a brotherhood that would define his life. Raised in the Eyrie's windswept towers, Robert thrived on action. He trained with sword and warhammer. His strength unmatched his charisma, drawing knights to his side. At 16, he became Lord of Storm's End, his youth no barrier to leadership. His visits to Winterfell kindled a love for Lyanna Stark, Ned's sister. To Robert, she was perfection, a woman of beauty and strength, a partner to share his storms. Her dark hair, grey eyes and wild grace captivated him. her defiance a match for his fire. Their betrothal in 279 AC, arranged by Rickard Stark, was a political coup tying the north to the Stormlands. Yet Robert's love was rooted in an idealized vision. He saw Lyanna as a prize, a symbol of his future as a great lord, perhaps even king. Lyanna, perceptive and independent, saw flaws in Robert's roguish charm. Rumours of his illegitimate daughter, Maya Stone, born to a Vale girl during his fostering, reached her ears. "He will never keep to one bed," she reportedly told Ned, her voice heavy with doubt. Her reluctance was overshadowed by politics, as Rickard's ambitions demanded the match. Robert, blind to her reservations, dreamed of a life with Lyanna, his laughter hiding a possessive streak. He boasted of their future of sons who would wield hammers and daughters who would rival their mother's beauty. The tournament at Harrenhal was Robert's stage. At 19, he jousted with flair, his warhammer a blur, his laughter filling the air. He competed fiercely, aiming to impress Lyanna, confident her heart was his. When Rhaegar crowned her queen of love and beauty, placing winter roses in her lap, Robert's world crumbled. His laughter turned to rage, his love to betrayal. The roses were a wound to his pride, a public humiliation that burned deeper than any lance. Ned, watching his friend's face darken, knew trouble was brewing. Robert's jovial mask hid a storm, and that storm would break over Westeros. When Lyanna vanished with Rhaegar in 282 AC, Robert's love became his war cry. He believed she was abducted, her honor stolen by a Targaryen prince, joining Ned and Jon Arryn. Robert raised his banners, vowing to reclaim her. His fury was a force of nature, his warhammer a symbol of his wrath. At Gulltown, he crushed Lord Grafton's Targaryen loyalists, his hammer shattering shields and skulls. The Battle of the Bells. In 282 AC tested his resolve. Ambushed at Stony Sept by Lord John Connington, Robert fought street to street, his survival owed to Ned's timely arrival. Each victory was a step toward Lyanna, each foe a stand-in for Rhaegar. The Battle of the Trident in 283 AC was Robert's crucible. On the river's banks, he faced Rhaegar, the man who stole his love, clad in black armor, a stag's antlers crowning his helm. Robert was a vision of fury. Rhaegar, in ruby-encrusted armor, was grace incarnate, his sword a silver blur. Their clash was a symphony of steel, hammer against sword, love against prophecy. Robert's blow shattered Rhaegar's breastplate, scattering rubies like blood, ending the prince's life. The river, renamed the Ruby Ford, bore witness to Robert's triumph, but victory brought no solace. Lyanna was gone, found dying by Ned in the Tower of Joy. Crowned king in 283 AC, Robert ruled a fractured realm, his heart empty without Lyanna. His marriage to Cersei Lannister, a political necessity, was loveless, her cold beauty no substitute for Lyanna's fire. Robert's love became a ghost, haunting his reign, his laughter drowned by wine and regret. His passion was a catalyst for destruction, his idealized love blinding him to Lyanna's true desires. Was Robert's love a noble quest to save his betrothed, or a possessive obsession that doomed a dynasty? His story is a reminder that love, when unreturned, can burn as fiercely as dragonfire, leaving only ashes in its wake. No tale of love in Robert's rebellion is complete without Elia Martell, the forgotten casualty of Rhaegar's passion. Born in 256 AC, Elia was a princess of dawn, raised in Sunspear's sunlit halls, where fountains sang and orange trees bloomed, gentle and intelligent. She was known for her grace, her laughter, a melody in dawn's courts. Her health, frail from a premature birth, limited her strength but not her spirit. She read poetry, danced beneath the stars, and dreamed of a life beyond Sunspear's walls. In 280 AC, she married Rhaegar Targaryen, a union to cement Dawn's loyalty to the crown. Elia's marriage was a blend of duty and hope. Rhaegar, with his silver hair and violet eyes, was a prince of legend, his harp's melodies enchanting her. She bore him 2 children, Rhaenys, a lively girl who loved her cat. Balerion and Aegon a boy, Rhaegar believed might be the promised prince. The births took a toll. Aegon's nearly killing her. Maesters warned she could bear no more a verdict that weighed on Rhaegar, whose dreams demanded a third child. Elia, ever dutiful, supported him. Her love a quiet strength in the Red Keep's viper's nest. At Harrenhal in 281 AC, Elia sat in the stands, her smile a mask of grace. When Rhaegar crowned Lyanna Stark, Queen of Love and Beauty, her dignity was publicly wounded. The crowd's silence was a knife, the winter roses a betrayal. Did she feel anger, or did she understand Rhaegar's prophetic obsession? Her thoughts are lost, but her composure spoke volumes. She remained silent. A princess trained to endure her heart, a mystery. As Rhaegar and Lyanna fled in 282 AC, Elia stayed in King's Landing, a pawn in Aerys's game. The Mad King kept her and her children as hostages, ensuring Dawn's loyalty against the rebels. As the rebellion raged, Elia's fate darkened. Aerys's paranoia isolated her. His court, a prison of fear. Rhaenys clung to her mother. Aegon wailed in his cradle, and Elia prayed for Rhaegar's return. When Tywin Lannister's army reached King's Landing in 283 AC, hope flickered. Tywin, once Aerys's hand, might spare them. Instead, betrayal struck. Sir Gregor, Clegane. Tywin's brutal enforcer stormed the Red Keep. He dashed Aegon's head against a wall, his infant skull shattering. Rhaenys, dragged from under her bed, was stabbed dozens of times, her cat's wails unheard. Elia, witnessing her children's slaughter, was raped and killed by Clegane, her screams lost in the chaos. Tywin's orders were clear. Eliminate Rhaegar's heirs to secure Robert's claim. Elia's death was a calculated act, her Dornish blood, no shield against Lannister ambition. Her murder fueled Dawn's vengeance. Prince Doran Martell plotting in silence his brother, Oberyn swearing retribution. Elia's love for Rhaegar, her loyalty to her house, brought her only tragedy. Her story is a stark reminder that love's consequences ripple beyond the lover's, wounding those caught in its wake. Was she a victim of Rhaegar's dreams, or a casualty of a war she could not control? Her memory lingers in Dawn's sands, a testament to the price of love in Westeros. Love in Robert's rebellion was a double-edged sword cutting through hearts and kingdoms alike. Rhaegar and Lyanna's passion, whether born of prophecy or desire, sparked a war that ended the Targaryen dynasty. Their son Jon Snow carried their legacy, but at the cost of their lives and countless others. Robert's unrequited devotion drove him to victory, but left him a hollow king, his love a fading dream. Elia Martell's silent loyalty cost her everything, her death a stain on the rebellion's triumph. The tournament at Harrenhal, meant to celebrate chivalry, became a stage for heartbreak, proving that love in Westeros is as dangerous as any blade. As we reflect on these tales of passion, we invite you to join our community of Game of Thrones enthusiasts at the Three-Eyed Raven on YouTube. Subscribe and share your thoughts. Did Rhaegar and Lyanna's love justify the chaos, or was Robert's fury the true tragedy? Your support fuels our storytelling, and we can't wait to dive deeper into Westeros with you. From the ashes of Harrenhal's tournament rose a war that tested the very soul of Westeros. Robert's rebellion was not just a clash of swords, but a crucible of honor where men and women faced choices that defined their legacies. In a realm torn by love's flames, honor was the blade that guided or wounded those who wielded it. Eddard Stark's duty to his family, Jaime Lannister's sacrifice for a city, and Jon Arryn's defiance against a tyrant shaped the rebellion's course, proving that honor is both a shield and a sword, forging heroes and breaking hearts. In this chapter, we explore the burdens of honor that drove the rebellion, revealing the men who stood tall amidst the storm and the prices they paid for doing right in a world of fire and blood. In the frozen halls of Winterfell, Eddard Stark, known as Ned, was forged in the unyielding crucible of northern honor. Born in 263 AC, the second son of Lord Rickard Stark. Ned grew up in the shadow of his bold brother Brandon, the heir to Winterfell. where Brandon was fire. Ned was ice-quiet, thoughtful, his strength rooted in principle. Raised on the tales of the first men, he learned loyalty to family justice for the wronged and the weight of sacrifice. His childhood was steeped in the North's stark beauty, sparring with Brandon in Winterfell's courtyard, praying beneath the heart tree in the Godswood, listening to old Nan's tales of White Walkers and Bran the Builder. His bond with his siblings, Brandon, Lyanna, and young Benjen, was a warmth against the North's chill, a foundation that would guide him through the trials to come. At 8, Ned was sent to the Vale to foster under Jon Arryn, Lord of the Eyrie, a decision that shaped his destiny. The Eyrie's windswept towers were a far cry from Winterfell's rugged stone, but Ned adapted training with sword and shield under Jon's watchful eye. There he met Robert Baratheon, a boisterous youth whose laughter filled the halls. Their friendship was a balance of fire and ice, Robert's exuberance tempered by Ned's restraint. Jon, childless, after multiple failed marriages, treated them as sons, teaching them not just war, but duty, justice, and the honor that defines a lord. Ned absorbed these lessons, his quiet demeanor masking a will as strong as Valyrian steel. The tournament at Harrenhal in 281 AC tested Ned's honor in ways he could not foresee. At 18, he attended with his family, watching Lyanna shine among the southern lords. When Rhaegar Targaryen crowned her queen of love and beauty, placing winter roses in her lap, Ned saw the fury in Robert's eyes and the danger to his sister's reputation. He sensed trouble brewing, but could not predict its scale. Months later in 282, AC news shattered his world. Lyanna had vanished with Rhaegar, presumed abducted. Brandon, enraged, rode to King's Landing with Rickard to demand justice, only to be arrested by Aerys. In a cruel spectacle in the Red Keep's throne room, Aerys sentenced them to death. Rickard, encased in armor, was burned alive in wildfire, his screams echoing as the flames melted steel to flesh. Brandon, bound with a noose around his neck, strangled himself trying to reach a sword to save his father, his body crumpling as the life left him. The Mad King's Raven arrived at the Eyrie, demanding Ned and Robert's heads. Ned, now Lord of Winterfell at 19, faced a choice: submit to a tyrant or fight for justice. Jon Arryn's refusal to surrender his wards sparked rebellion, and Ned joined the cause, driven by honor, not ambition. He believed Lyanna was a victim, her honor stolen by Rhaegar's ambition. Returning to the north, Ned rallied the Stark bannermen, Umbers, Karstarks, Boltons, Manderleys, his quiet resolve inspiring loyalty. His voice steady as winter's frost called them to war, their banners rising beneath the direwolf sigil. Crossing the Neck, he navigated the swamps with Howland Reed's guidance securing the North's strength. Ned's first test came at Gulltown in 282 AC, where he and Robert faced Lord Mark Grafton's Targaryen loyalists. The coastal city's walls loomed, its gates barred, but Robert's hammer and Ned's sword breached them. Ned fought with precision, his blade cutting through Grafton's guards, while Robert's fury scattered the enemy. Grafton fell to Robert's hammer, his defiance crushed, securing the Vale's coast for the rebellion. The victory was a signal to Westeros. House Stark and Baratheon were forces to be reckoned with. The Battle of the Bells in 282 AC was Ned's proving ground. At Stony Sept, Robert's forces were ambushed by Lord John Connington, Aerys's Hand, the bells of the Sept ringing as loyalists closed in. Robert, wounded, hid in a brothel, his survival uncertain. Ned arrived with the Stark and Arryn armies, his strategy turning chaos into victory. He led a charge through the town's streets, his sword a blur while the bell's toll became a rebel anthem. Connington fled, and Robert emerged, his gratitude cementing his bond with Ned. The battle was a turning point, proving Ned's leadership and the rebellion's resilience. To secure the Riverlands, Ned married Catelyn Tully in 282 AC, a match arranged by Jon Arryn and Hoster Tully. Catelyn, originally betrothed to Brandon, brought grace and strength, her auburn hair a contrast to Ned's dark locks. Their wedding, held at River Run amidst war's shadow, was somber, yet Ned's vow was sincere. The marriage bound the Tullys to the rebellion, their banners joining the direwolf, stag and falcon. Catelyn's love would grow, but Ned's heart was heavy, his thoughts on Lyanna. The Battle of the Trident in 283 AC was the rebellion's climax. On the Ruby Ford, Ned fought alongside Robert, facing Rhaegar's loyalists. Dornish spearmen, Reach knights, and Crownlands levies. The river ran red as steel clashed Ned's sword, cutting through foes with grim precision. He witnessed Robert's duel with Rhaegar, the prince's rubies scattering as the hammer struck. Rhaegar's death sealed the Targaryen defeat. But Ned's quest continued. Learning Lyanna was in Dorne, he rode south with 6 companions: Howland Reed, Willem Dustin, Ethan Glover, Martin Castle, Theo Wool and Mark Risewell to the Tower of Joy. At the Tower, they faced 3 Kingsguard: Sir Arthur Dane, Sir Oswell Went, and Sir Gerald Hightower, in a clash of honour and steel. Dane, the Sword of the Morning, wielded his greatsword, Dawn its pale blade a streak of light. The fight was brutal steel, ringing against stone blood, staining the desert sand. Dane cut down. Dustin Glover fell to Hightower, and Castle and Wall perished in the melee. Ned wounded faced Dane, his sword no match for Dawn's speed. Howland Reed, using Cranagman cunning, struck from behind, saving Ned only. Ned and Howland survived their victory. Pyrrhic, inside the tower. Ned found Lyanna dying, her bed stained with blood, a newborn son in her arms. "Promise me, Ned," she whispered, entrusting Jon Snow, Rhaegar's heir, to his care. Ned's honour demanded he protect Jon from Robert's wrath, who vowed to kill all Targaryens, claiming Jon as his bastard. Ned returned to Winterfell, his lies staining his honour. The deception strained his marriage to Catelyn, who saw Jon as a symbol of infidelity, raising Jon as his own. Ned bore the weight of his promise in silence. His silence a shield for a boy who might one day change the world. Ned's honour was his compass, guiding him through war and loss. But it came at a cost: alienation, guilt, and a life tethered to secrets. His story is a testament to the sacrifices honour demands in a world of fire and blood. If Ned Stark's honour was a shield, Jaime Lannister's was a blade, sharp, dangerous, and misunderstood. Born in 266 AC to Tywin and Joanna Lannister, Jaime was the golden heir of Casterly Rock, a prodigy whose skill with a sword outshone all peers. Raised in Casterly Rock's opulent halls, he was inseparable from his twin. Cersei, their bond, a secret that would shape his life. At 10, Jaime squired for Sir Sumner Crakehall, proving his mettle in battle against the Kingswood Brotherhood in 281 AC. He fought alongside Sir Arthur Dane, his idol, cutting down outlaws with a boy's ferocity. At 15, he was knighted by Dane, his golden armour gleaming with promise, his green eyes alight with ambition. In 281 AC, during the tournament at Harrenhal, Aerys named Jaime to the Kingsguard at 16. A cunning move to spite Tywin by denying him an heir. Jaime, dazzled by the honour accepted, dreaming of serving with legends like Dane Barristan Selmy and Gerald Hightower. The white cloak was a symbol of chivalry, but the red keep was no chivalric court. Aerys's madness cast a shadow over the Kingsguard, their oaths binding them to a tyrant. Jaime stood watch as Aerys burned lords alive, his laughter mingling with their screams. The execution of Rickard and Brandon Stark in 282 AC was a turning point. Rickard, encased in armour, roasted in wildfire, his screams echoing through the throne room. Brandon noosed, strangled himself, reaching for a sword, his eyes bulging as life faded. Jaime, bound by his vow to protect the king, stood silent, his ideals crumbling. As the rebellion raged, Jaime's loyalty wavered. Aerys's paranoia grew, his obsession with wildfire consuming the court. The Mad King hoarded caches of the green flame beneath King's Landing under the Red Keep, the Great Sept, the slums. A secret Jaime learned from the pyromancers led by Wisdom Rossard. Aerys delighted in the flames, his eyes gleaming as he watched men burn his laughter, a chilling echo of his madness. Jaime, at 17, was a prisoner of his oath, his white cloak, a chain. He stood by Aerys's side, witnessing horrors, lords burned for minor slights, servants tortured for whispered words. The king's guard's silence, even Dane's, was a betrayal of the chivalry Jaime once revered. When Tywin's army reached King's Landing in 283 AC, Jaime urged Aerys to surrender, knowing his father's ruthlessness. Aerys, manipulated by Grandmaster Pycelle, believed the Lannisters were allies. Jaime, stationed in the throne room, watched as Pycelle's counsel prevailed, the city gates opening to Tywin's host. The sack began. Lannister men looted homes, slaughtered small folk and burned shops, their lion banners a mockery of salvation. Aerys, realizing the betrayal, turned to Rhaegar, his pyromancer, hand. Burn them all. He raved, ordering the wildfire ignited to reduce King's Landing to ashes. Let Robert be king over charred bones and cooked meat. He laughed, his nails clawing the Iron Throne. Jaime faced an impossible choice: honor his vow or save 500,000 lives. His oath demanded he protect the king, even a mad one, but his conscience rebelled. Racing through the Red Keep's corridors, he found Rhaegar in the pyromancer's chambers, his robes stained with green residue. Jaime's sword cut him down, the pyromancer's blood pooling on the stone. Returning to the throne room, Jaime faced Aerys, cowering before the Iron Throne, his eyes wild with fear. Burn them all! Aerys repeated, his voice a shriek. With a single thrust, Jaime drove his sword through Aerys's back, the king's blood spilling across the throne's steps. He sat on the Iron Throne, sword in hand, as Ned Stark entered, his eyes cold with judgment. Kingslayer! Ned spat, branding Jaime with a title that would define him. Jaime bore the scorn in silence, never revealing the wildfire plot. The caches remained hidden, their danger unknown to the realm, a secret Jaime carried alone. His act was a paradox, a betrayal born of duty, a sin that saved a city. His life as Kingslayer was a crucible, his golden armor tarnished by the world's judgment. He remained in the King's Guard, serving Robert, his loyalty torn between duty and his secret love for Cersei. Was Jaime a hero cloaked in infamy, or a traitor who traded one evil for another? His story challenges us to question the nature of honor in a world where right and wrong blur, where a single choice can redeem or damn. In the wind-swept towers of the Eyrie, Jon Arryn embodied a quieter, steadfast honor. Born in 220 AC, he was Lord of the Vale and Warden of the East, a man of wisdom forged by decades of leadership. His early life was marked by duty, ruling the Vale, quelling minor rebellions, and marrying twice both wives, dying without issue. Childless, Jon found purpose in mentoring Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon, raising them as sons in the Eyrie's high halls from 271 AC. Ned at 8 was quiet and dutiful. Robert at 9 was boisterous and bold. Jon taught them swordplay strategy and the honor of a lord, his lessons shaping their futures. The Eyrie was a fortress of stone and sky, its 7 towers piercing the clouds. Jon, a widower, by 281 AC, ruled with a steady hand. His bannermen, Royces, Waynwoods, hunters, loyal to his banner of moon and falcon. His mentorship of Ned and Robert was more than duty. It was love, a father's pride in sons he never had. He sparred with them in the Eyrie's courtyard, his laughter mingling with Robert's, his counsel guiding Ned's restraint. When Ned spoke of Winterfell's godswood, Jon listened, respecting the North's old gods. When Robert boasted of tourneys, Jon tempered his bravado with wisdom. These moments forged a bond that would spark a rebellion. The rebellion's spark reached Jon in 282 AC when Aerys demanded Ned and Robert's heads after executing Rickard and Brandon Stark. The Raven's message was clear: surrender. The boys or face war. Jon at 62 faced a defining choice. His honor as a lord demanded loyalty to the crown, but his honor as a mentor outweighed it. Aerys's cruelty, burning Rickard, strangling Brandon, was an affront to justice. Jon refused the command, raising the Vale's banners, his voice echoing through the Eyrie's halls. "We fight for honor, for justice, for the boys we've raised," he declared, his bannermen rallying to his call. Jon's leadership was strategic. At Gulltown, he and Robert faced Lord Mark Grafton's loyalists. The city's walls, a formidable barrier. Jon's archers rained arrows from the cliffs, while Robert's hammer breached the gates. Grafton fell his loyalty to Aerys, his doom securing the Vale's coast to strengthen the rebellion. Jon married Lysa Tully, Hosta, Tully's younger daughter, in 282 AC. At 20, Lysa was shy, her auburn hair a mirror of Catelyn's, but her heart was fragile, wounded by a forced abortion years earlier. The marriage held at River Run alongside Ned and Catelyn's was a political necessity, binding the Tullys to the rebellion. Jon, though kind, found no love in Lysa, her clinginess a burden he bore for duty. Jon led with calm resolve, balancing Robert's fury and Ned's restraint. His victories at Gulltown Summerhall, Ashford paved the way for the Trident, where Rhaegar's defeat sealed the rebellion's triumph. After Robert's coronation in 283 AC, Jon was named Hand of the King, his wisdom guiding the new reign. He negotiated peace with the Tyrells, who bent the knee, and soothed Dawn's anger over Aelia's death, though their wounds lingered. Yet Jon's honour had flaws. His marriage to Lysa, driven by politics, sowed discord, her instability a shadow over the Vale. His support for Robert's claim ignored the truth of Rhaegar's heir Jon Snow, a secret Ned kept from him. Jon's honour built a new kingdom, but its foundations were fragile, cracking years later in the War of the Five Kings. Jon's role as the rebellion's father underscores the power of quiet duty. His defiance sparked a revolution, his mentorship shaped its leaders, and his sacrifices secured its victory. Yet his compromises, Lysa's marriage, Robert's flaws left echoes of strife. Was Jon the rebellion's unsung hero, or a man whose honour blinded him to future chaos? His story is a testament to the weight of duty in a world where every choice carries a price. Honour in Robert's rebellion was a guiding light and a crushing weight. Ned Stark's duty to his family and his sister's secret defined his life, costing him peace and trust. His lie about Jon Snow, born Aegon Targaryen, was a shield for a boy who might fulfill prophecy, but it estranged him from Catelyn and bound him to silence. Jaime Lannister's sacrifice saved King's Landing from wildfire, but branded him Kingslayer, a villain in the eyes of a realm that never knew his truth. His white cloak, once a symbol of chivalry, became a chain, his heroism hidden by scorn. Jon Arryn's defiance sparked a revolution, uniting the Vale North and Stormlands against Aerys. But his political marriage to Lysa planted seeds of instability, her fragility a threat to the Eyrie. Honour drove these men to act, but it bound them to consequences. They could not escape Ned's battles at Gulltown. The bells, the Trident, were fought for justice, but his victory was bittersweet. His sister's death, a wound that never healed. Jaime's choice in the throne room was a moment of clarity, but its aftermath was a lifetime of judgment, his golden armour tarnished by Ned's gaze. Jon's leadership forged a new reign, but his compromises left cracks in the realm, erupting years later in chaos. In Westeros, honour is a blade that cuts both ways, forging heroes and wounding them in equal measure. It raises the question, what is the true cost of doing right in a world where every choice carries a shadow? As swords clashed and kingdoms burned, Robert's rebellion was more than a war of men. It was a dance of fate guided by prophecies as old as Valyria. The choices of love and honour that drove the rebellion were threads in a greater tapestry woven by destiny's unyielding hand. A prince's obsession with a saviour, a king's descent into madness, and a song of ice and fire shaped the Seven Kingdoms, their echoes resonating through the ages. In this chapter, we explore the weight of fate that defined the rebellion, the prophecy of the prince that was promised, Aerys Targaryen's doomed legacy, and the enigmatic song of ice and fire. These are the forces that bound past to future, proving that in Westeros, fate is a tide that no man can resist. At the core of Robert's rebellion lies a prophecy as ancient as Valyria itself, the prince that was promised a saviour, born amidst salt and smoke, destined to wield a flaming sword against darkness. Rooted in Valyrian lore, the prophecy spoke of Azor Ahai, a hero who forged a blade in sacrifice, plunging it through his wife's heart to defeat an apocalyptic foe for House Targaryen. This prophecy was a sacred charge whispered from Aegon the Conqueror to his heirs, its meaning shrouded in mystery. Maesters speculated it foretold a battle against the White Walkers, the others of the Long Night, whose return was a shadow on the horizon. Rhaegar Targaryen, born in 259 AC during the Summerhall tragedy, believed he was this prince. The fire that claimed his kin King Aegon V, Prince Duncan and others was a crucible his mother. Rhaella's tears the salt that marked him. Born amidst salt and smoke, Rhaegar was a child of destiny, his violet eyes reflecting a burden few could fathom. As a boy he pored over scrolls in the Red Keep's library, dust motes dancing in candlelight as he traced Valyrian texts. At 12, a cryptic passage perhaps from a seer's vision convinced him he must become a warrior. "It seems I must be a warrior," he told Maester Aemon, his great-uncle, his voice steady with purpose. Training under Sir Willem, Darry Rhaegar mastered sword and lance. His movements a blend of grace and precision, his black armor a canvas for ruby stars. By his 20s, Rhaegar's understanding evolved. Correspondence with Maester Aemon, a scholar of prophecy, led him to believe the prince might be his child, not himself. The prophecy spoke of a dragon with 3 heads echoing Aegon the Conqueror and his sisters, Rhaenys and Visenya. Rhaegar's marriage to Elia Martell in 280 AC produced 2 children, Rhaenys born in 280 and Aegon born in 281, named after Aegon's kin. But Elia's frail health, strained by Aegon's birth, barred a 3rd child. Maesters warned another pregnancy would kill her, a verdict that clashed with Rhaegar's dreams. He believed the dragon required 3 heads, a trinity, to fulfill the prophecy's promise. Lyanna Stark became his answer. At Harrenhal in 281 AC, Rhaegar saw in her the ice to his fire, the Stark to his Targaryen. Her courage defending Howland Reed, perhaps as the Knight of the Laughing Tree mirrored his own defiance. When he crowned her Queen of Love and Beauty, the winter roses were a declaration not just of love, but of destiny. Their flight to the Tower of Joy in 282 AC, guarded by Sir Arthur Dane and Sir Oswell Went, was an act of fate, an attempt to birth the 3rd head of the dragon. In Dawn's red mountains, amidst wildflowers and desert winds, they conceived a son born in 283 AC as war raged. Rhaegar named him Aegon, after his conqueror ancestor, believing this child would fulfill the prophecy uniting ice and fire to save the world. Rhaegar's obsession was his undoing. His absence fueled Aerys's madness. His actions sparked rebellion, and his death at the Trident in 283 AC left the prophecy dangling on the ruby. Forward he faced Robert Baratheon, his black armor gleaming his sword, a silver blur. Robert's warhammer struck with thunder, shattering. Rhaegar's breastplate scattering rubies like blood. The prince's body sank into the river, his dreams drowned in its currents. Lyanna, dying in the Tower of Joy, passed her son to Ned Stark, her final act ensuring the prophecy's survival. Named Aegon Targaryen, known as Jon Snow, he was hidden as Ned's bastard, his true heritage, a secret that could topple kingdoms. Jon Snow's life in Game of Thrones suggests he may be the promised prince. Raised in Winterfell, he joined the Night's Watch, his honor tempered by the Wall's harsh realities. His battles against the White Walkers, uniting wildlings and Westerosi, mirrored the prophecy's call for a savior. His claim to the Iron Throne, revealed as Rhaegar's heir, shook the realm, his exile to the north, a tragic echo of his father's dreams. Yet the prophecy's ambiguity persists. Was Jon the prince, or does the mantle await another? Rhaegar's pursuit of fate sparked a war that ended his house, but it birthed a savior whose song is yet to be sung. While Rhaegar chased prophecy, King Aerys II was consumed by a darker fate, his madness a grim prophecy fulfilled. Born in 244 AC, Aerys took the throne in 262 AC at 18, his silver hair and violet eyes a reminder of Targaryen majesty. His early reign was promising, guided by Tywin Lannister, his hand whose efficiency quelled rebellions and filled the crown's coffers. Aerys dreamed of grand projects, a marble city, a second wall, his charisma inspiring hope. Yet cracks appeared early. His envy of Tywin's competence, his obsession with Joanna Lannister and the loss of multiple children. Only Rhaegar Viserys, born 276, and Daenerys, born 284, survived, gnawed at his sanity. The defiance of Duskendale in 277 AC was the breaking point. Held captive by Lord Denys Darklyn, Aerys endured months of humiliation, his royal blood mocked by rebels, rescued by Sir Barristan. Selmy, he emerged a shell, his laughter manic, his eyes wild, his nails grew long, his hair tangled, and his obsession with fire consumed him. By 281 AC, Aerys was the mad king, burning dissenters in wildfire, their screams a symphony to his fractured mind. His court was a prison where Varys whispered of plots, and the king's guards stood silent. Dane Selmy Hightower and young Jaime Lannister, their white cloaks stained by complicity. Aerys's actions sealed his fate. In 282 AC, he executed Rickard and Brandon Stark with savage cruelty. Rickard, demanding a trial by combat, was burned alive in wildfire, his armor melting as he screamed. Brandon noosed, strangled himself, reaching for a sword, his desperation futile. Aerys's demand for Ned and Robert's heads sparked rebellion, uniting the Vale North and Stormlands. As the war raged, Aerys's paranoia deepened. He kept Elia Martell and her children Rhaenys and Aegon as hostages, fearing Dawn's betrayal. His alliance with the pyromancers led by Wisdom Rossar was his final gambit. Caches of wildfire hidden beneath King's Landing under the Red Keep. The Great Sept. The slums were his insurance, a plan to burn the city if the rebels prevailed. The pyromancers, an ancient guild tracing back to Valyria, were Aerys's dark allies. Their wildfire, a green flame that burned hotter than dragonfire, was a relic of lost magic, its secrets guarded in their guild hall. Rossar, elevated to hand, delighted in Aerys's obsession, crafting vats of the substance in dark chambers. Aerys watched their experiments, his laughter echoing as flames danced, his eyes gleaming with madness. The wildfire plot was apocalyptic. 500,000 lives from small folk to nobles would burn if ignited. Jaime Lannister, privy to the plan, stood watch his oath, a chain binding him to horror. When Tywin's army reached King's Landing in 283 AC, Aerys's fate arrived. Believing Tywin an ally, he opened the gates, manipulated by Grand Maester Pycelle's counsel. The sack began. Lannister. Men looted, slaughtered, and burned their lion banners, a mockery of salvation. Aerys, realizing the betrayal, turned to Rossar. Burn them all. He raved, ordering the wildfire ignited. Let Robert be king over charred bones and cooked meat. He laughed, his nails clawing the iron throne. Jaime, in the throne room, faced his moment of truth. Slaying Rossar in the corridors, he returned to Aerys, driving his sword through the king's back. The Mad King's blood pooled beneath the Iron Throne, his fate sealed by a boy he named to his guard. Aerys's madness was a prophecy fulfilled, a grim warning of power unchecked. The Targaryen curse, madness in half their line, consumed him, his fire burning inward until it destroyed his house. His death ended 3 centuries of Targaryen rule, leaving Viserys and Daenerys to carry the dragon's legacy in exile. Was Aerys a victim of fate? His mind doomed by blood, or a tyrant who forged his own end? His story is a shadow over the rebellion, a testament to the destructive power of destiny unbound. The prophecy of the prince that was promised is entwined with another enigma, the Song of Ice and Fire, a harmony of opposites. Stark and Targaryen, winter and flame. Rhaegar, a poet at heart, saw this in his union with Lyanna, believing their child would sing this song. The phrase, rooted in Targaryen lore, spoke of a balance to defeat a great darkness. Perhaps the White Walkers foretold in ancient texts, Maester Aemon Rhaegar's confidant mused that the prophecy transcended gender prince or princess fire or ice, the saviour would unite opposites to forge salvation. In the Tower of Joy, Rhaegar and Lyanna's son, Jon Snow, was born to fulfill this song named Aegon Targaryen. He was the embodiment of their dream, his blood, a blend of Stark honour and Targaryen fire. Rhaegar believed the song required ice, Lyanna's northern heritage, and fire his Valyrian blood. Their union was a poetic act, a belief that love could birth a saviour, yet the rebellion silenced the melody. Rhaegar fell at the Trident. Lyanna died in Ned's arms, and Jon was hidden as a bastard, his true heritage a secret. The song, it seemed, was lost, its notes scattered in the winds of war. But fate is not so easily thwarted. Jon Snow, raised in Winterfell, emerged as a bridge between ice and fire, joining the Night's Watch. He faced the Wall's harsh realities, his honour tempered by sacrifice, his battles against the White Walkers, uniting wildlings and Westerosi, mirrored the prophecy's call for a unifier. In Game of Thrones, his true parentage, Rhaegar and Lyanna's son shook the realm. His claim to the Iron Throne a challenge to Daenerys Targaryen. His exile to the north after slaying Daenerys was a tragic echo of his parents' dreams. Yet his role against the Night King suggests he sang the song's first verse. Daenerys Targaryen, born in 284 AC amidst a storm on Dragonstone, carried the fire of her house. Exiled to Essos, she rose from a frightened girl to the mother of dragons, her trio, Drogon, Rhaegal, Viserion, a rebirth of Targaryen power. Her conquests from Slaver's Bay to Westeros echoed Aegon the Conqueror, her fire a challenge to Robert's legacy. In Game of Thrones, her meeting with Jon was a clash of ice and fire, their alliance a fleeting harmony before her descent into tyranny. Daenerys's dragons and ambition suggest she too was tied to the prophecy, her fate a mirror of Aerys's madness. The Song of Ice and Fire remains incomplete, its meaning debated by maesters and fans. Was Jon the promised prince uniting realms against the Night King? Or was Daenerys with her dragons the true saviour undone by her own fire? The prophecy's ambiguity is its power, a riddle that binds past and future. In Robert's rebellion, it was the spark that drove Rhaegar, the shadow that haunted Aerys, and the hope that endured in Jon and Daenerys. Its notes linger in Westeros's winds, a melody of hope and tragedy waiting for its final verse. Fate in Robert's rebellion was a promise and a curse. Rhaegar's pursuit of the prince that was promised sparked a war that ended his house, yet it birthed Jon Snow, a saviour whose destiny is yet to be fulfilled. His love for Lyanna, his belief in the Song of Ice and Fire was a poet's dream, but its cost was a dynasty's fall. Aerys's madness fulfilled a tragic destiny, his fire consuming his mind and his realm, leaving ashes in its wake. His wildfire plot, thwarted by Jaime, was a final act of defiance against fate, but his death was inevitable, a king undone by his own blood. The Song of Ice and Fire. The prophecy's heart resonates through Jon and Daenerys, their lives a testament to its power. Jon's battles, Daenerys's dragons, and their tragic clash in Game of Thrones suggest the song is a cycle, not a line. Its fulfillment, a question for the ages. In Westeros, fate is a force that shapes all binding past to future in its unyielding grasp. It raises the question, can one escape destiny, or is every choice a step toward its embrace? The rebellion was a crucible of fate, forging a new world while leaving mysteries that echo through the Seven Kingdoms. Robert's Rebellion, a realm reborn in fire and blood. Robert's rebellion was a storm that swept through Westeros, its winds of love, honor, and fate reshaping the Seven Kingdoms. From the winter roses of Harrenhal to the blood-soaked Ruby Ford, the war burned away the Targaryen dynasty, forging a new reign in its ashes. Yet the rebellion's end was not a conclusion, but a beginning, a crucible that birthed heroes, villains, and mysteries that would echo through the ages. In this final chapter, we reflect on the aftermath of the rebellion, the legacy it left, and the questions that linger in its wake. The flames have faded, but their embers still glow, illuminating a realm reborn in fire and blood. Robert's Rebellion. spanning 282 to 283 AC, was a crucible that reshaped Westeros, leaving a legacy of triumph and tragedy. When the dust settled, Robert Baratheon claimed the Iron Throne crowned in King's Landing amidst the cheers of a weary realm. His victory at the Battle of the Trident, where he slew Rhaegar Targaryen, secured his claim, bolstered by his distant Targaryen blood through his grandmother Rhaegal, a daughter of Aegon V. At 21, Robert was a king of strength and charisma, his black hair and blue eyes a contrast to the silver and violet of his predecessors. Yet his triumph was hollow. Lyanna Stark, the woman he fought for, was dead, found by Ned in the Tower of Joy. Her final breath, a whisper of love and loss. Robert's love became a ghost, haunting his reign, his laughter drowned by wine and regret. To secure his rule, Robert married Cersei Lannister in 284 AC, a match arranged by Jon Arryn to bind Tywin Lannister's wealth and power to the crown. Cersei 19 was a vision of beauty, golden hair, emerald eyes, but her heart was cold, her ambition sharper than Valyrian steel. The marriage was loveless. Robert's thoughts on Lyanna Cersei's on Rhaegar, whom she once dreamed of wedding. Their union produced 3 children, Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. But whispers of their true parentage tied to Cersei's secret with Jaime would later fracture the realm. Robert's reign, marked by excess and neglect, leaned on Tywin's gold and Jon Arryn's wisdom, a fragile foundation for a kingdom scarred by war. Eddard Stark returned to Winterfell, his heart heavy with loss. The deaths of his father Rickard, brother Brandon, and sister Lyanna left. The Starks diminished their strength. Sapped Ned at 20, was Lord of Winterfell his honour, a beacon in the North's icy halls. He carried a secret Jon Snow, Lyanna's son by Rhaegar, whom he raised as his bastard to protect from Robert's wrath. The lie stained his honour, straining his marriage to Catelyn Tully, wed during the rebellion to secure the Riverlands. Catelyn, graceful and fierce, bore Ned's children, Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon. But Jon's presence was a wound, a reminder of a truth Ned could never share. Ned's silence was a vow to Lyanna, his honour a shield for a boy who might one day change the world. Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, bore the world's scorn. At 17, he slew Aerys Targaryen, saving King's Landing from wildfire. But the truth remained hidden. Seated on the Iron Throne. When Ned Stark arrived, Jaime's defiance masked his heroism, earning him a title that defined his life. He remained in the Kingsguard, serving Robert, his golden armour tarnished by judgment. His secret love for Cersei, a flame kindled in childhood, bound him to her, their twins, a dangerous truth. Jaime's choice in the throne room was a moment of clarity, but its aftermath was a lifetime of scorn, his white cloak a chain he could not break. The Targaryen dynasty, once invincible, was reduced to 2 children. Viserys, aged 7, and the newborn Daenerys were spirited to Dragonstone by loyalists, then fled to Braavos across the narrow sea in 284 AC, Ser Willem Darry. Their guardian protected them in a house with a red door, a fleeting haven. Viserys, crowned with a child's dreams, vowed to reclaim the Iron Throne, his bitterness growing in exile. Daenerys, born amidst a storm, was a quiet babe, her future as the mother of dragons unimagined. Their exile marked the end of 3 centuries of Targaryen rule. Their dragon banner furled their fire kindled in foreign lands. The rebellion's cost was staggering. Thousands perished knights in the Trident's mud, smallfolk in King's Landing's sacklords in battles from Gulltown to Storm's End. The sack led by Tywin Lannister was a bloodbath. Sir Gregor Clegane's murder of Elia Martell and her children. Rhaenys stabbed Aegon's skull, shattered, was a calculated act securing Robert's claim, but fueling Dawn's vengeance. The Starks lost their patriarch and heirs, their influence waning. The Lannisters rose to power, Tywin's gold and ruthlessness dominating the court, but his brutality sowed seeds of retribution. The Vale and Riverlands, bound by Jon Arryn and Hoster Tully, stabilized under Robert, but cracks remained. The Tyrells, who held Storm's End for Aerys, bent the knee, their loyalty grudging. The Greyjoys, silent during the war, plotted rebellion, their Ironborn stirring years later. Politically, Westeros shifted Robert's coronation, united the realm, but his rule was marred by excess tourneys, feasts and debts piling high. Jon Arryn, named Hand of the King, strove to maintain peace, negotiating with the Tyrells and soothing Dorne's anger, though Prince Doran Martell's silence hid his plots. The realm's economy, strained by war, leaned on Lannister gold, tying Robert to Tywin's ambitions. The rebellion's triumph was a fragile veneer, hiding tensions that erupted in the War of the Five Kings, a storm born from the seeds of 283 AC. The rebellion's true legacy lies in its heirs, the children of fire and ice who carried its dreams and burdens. Jon Snow, born Aegon Targaryen, was the embodiment of Rhaegar and Lyanna's love. Raised as Ned's bastard in Winterfell, he grew into a leader, his honor tempered by the Wall's harsh realities. Joining the Night's Watch, he faced wildlings, wights, and the Night King, his sword, Longclaw, a beacon in the dark. In Game of Thrones, his true parent.